The summer I was 9 years old, my brother got stung by a yellow jacket 3 times on the back of his neck. He was screaming. My mother was in the garden. She did not run to the medicine cabinet. We did not have one. She walked to the edge of the yard, pulled a handful of broad leaves from a weed growing near the fence, chewed them for about 10 seconds, and pressed the wet paste onto the back of my brother's neck. He stopped crying inside of 2 minutes. I asked her what that plant was. She said it was plantain, not the banana kind, the weed that grows in every yard and every crack and every sidewalk in this country. She said her mother had taught her, and her mother's mother before that. That was 1937. Nobody we knew went to a pharmacy for a bug sting. Nobody bought a bottle of anything for sunburn. We had the yard, we had the pantry, and we had what our mothers taught us. Today, people pay $12 for calamine lotion and $20 for a can of bug spray that gives you a headache when you breathe it. I'm not saying there is anything wrong with modern medicine. What I am saying is that the old remedies worked. They worked on 8 children through every summer I can remember, and most of them cost you nothing. I want to share 7 of them with you today. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Edna Mae. I was born in 1928, and I have been doing things the old way my entire life. Hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next one. Let us get into it. Number 1, plantain leaf for bee stings and bug bites. I already told you the beginning of this one. Let me give you the full picture. Plantain, the broad-leafed weed, not the banana, already grows in your yard. It grows in sidewalk cracks. It grows in gravel driveways and the edges of parking lots. It is one of the most common weeds in North America, and most people spend money on products to kill it. The leaf is wide and oval with parallel veins running along its length. It grows flat to the ground and produces a small, thin spike of a flower in summer. Once you know it, you will see it everywhere you go. For a bee sting or wasp sting, pick a clean leaf, put it in your mouth, and chew it for 15 seconds. You are not eating it. You are making a poultice. The chewing breaks down the cells and releases the compounds inside. Press that wet mash directly onto the sting and hold it there. Within a minute or two, the burning and throbbing begins to settle. For mosquito bites, the same method. Chew, apply, hold. The itching eases within a few minutes. The reason it works is that plantain contains compounds, aucubin and allantoin, that reduce inflammation and draw irritants toward the skin's surface. This is not folk superstition. These have been studied. The plant was used medicinally across Europe and North America for hundreds of years before anyone packaged alternatives and put them on a shelf. A tube of hydrocortisone cream for bug bites costs $6. A yard full of plantain costs you nothing. My rule has always been this: the remedy is usually already growing at your feet. You just have to know what you are looking at. Number 2, apple cider vinegar for sunburn. My mother kept a jug of apple cider vinegar in the kitchen at all times, not for cooking, for everything. When one of us came in from the fields, red-faced and hurting from a long day in the sun, she did not say a word. She soaked a clean cloth in apple cider vinegar diluted with water, 1 part vinegar to 2 parts water, and laid it gently over the burned skin. She left it there for 15 minutes. Sometimes she did it a second time before bed. By morning, the worst of the burn was always calmed, not gone, but manageable. The surface heat drawn out. No blistering on the surface where there might have been. The reason this works is that sunburn changes the pH of the skin. It becomes more alkaline. Vinegar is acidic. Applied to the skin, it helps restore the natural pH balance, which reduces the inflammatory response and the sensation of trapped heat. It also has mild antiseptic properties, which matters if the skin cracks. Do not apply it at full strength. Dilute it. 1 part vinegar to 2 parts cool water. Use a soft cloth. Keep it cool, not ice cold, because shocking burned skin causes its own problems. A bottle of aloe vera gel for sunburn costs $8 to $10. A gallon of apple cider vinegar costs $3 and lasts you months. My rule has always been this: vinegar is worth more than what you put on your salad. Keep it close in summer. Number 3, fresh mint as bug repellent. Every house I knew as a child had mint growing somewhere nearby. My mother grew spearmint along the back fence and peppermint near the kitchen door. She kept it close because she used it every single day in summer. Not for tea, for bugs. Mosquitoes and flies cannot tolerate mint. The menthol and the other compounds in mint leaves disrupt the way insects locate a target. They navigate by smell. Mint confuses and repels them. My mother's method was simple. Before we went outside in the morning, she would break off a handful of fresh mint leaves and rub them on our arms, our necks, and our ankles. She paid particular attention to the wrists and the back of the neck, anywhere the skin is thin and the blood close to the surface. Those are the spots mosquitoes find first. For a stronger application, boil a large handful of mint leaves in 2 cups of water for 10 minutes. Let it cool, strain it into a clean bottle, and spray it on skin and clothing before going outside. That concentrate will keep in the refrigerator for about a week. Pennyroyal, a wild mint variety that grows in fields and along roadsides, is even more potent than spearmint or peppermint. My mother preferred it when she could find it, but any variety of mint will do the job. A can of commercial bug spray costs $8 to $12. A mint plant at a garden center costs $3 once and grows back every year forever. My rule has always been this: grow what you need as close to the door as possible. The best remedy is the one you can reach without thinking. Number 4, baking soda paste for bee stings. This one every grandmother knew, but I want to explain why it works, because knowing the reason means you will do it correctly. When a honeybee stings you, the venom it injects is acidic. That acidity is what causes the burning and the rapid swelling. Baking soda is alkaline. Applied to the skin, it neutralizes the acid in the venom at the surface, which reduces the burning sensation and slows the inflammatory response. First, if the stinger is still in the skin, honeybees leave their stingers behind, wasps do not. Remove it before you do anything else. Do not pinch it with your fingers. That squeezes more venom in. Use the edge of a fingernail or a credit card scraped sideways across the skin. That pulls it out clean. Then mix baking soda with just enough water to make a thick paste, about 1 teaspoon of baking soda to a few drops of water. Apply it generously over the sting, cover it loosely with a cloth, and leave it for 15 to 20 minutes. Now here is something my mother knew that most people miss. For wasp and hornet stings, baking soda will not help as much. Wasp venom is alkaline rather than acidic. For those stings, you want something acidic applied to the skin. Diluted apple cider vinegar or a slice of raw onion held against the sting. She kept both on hand and chose based on what had done the stinging. We always knew. A bee means acid venom. Use baking soda. A wasp or hornet means alkaline venom. Use vinegar. Get it backwards and you make the sting worse, not better. A box of baking soda costs $1. A tube of sting relief cream costs $7. My rule has always been this: if you know the cause, you know the cure. Never treat something you do not understand. Before I go on, did your mother or grandmother have a summer remedy she swore by? Bug bites, sunburn, heat rash, poison ivy, anything. Put it in the comments below. I read every one of them, and I think there is a lot of old knowledge scattered across families that deserves to be written down before it disappears. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. New video every week. Number 5, cold black tea for sunburn. My mother made a pot of black tea almost every morning. In summer, she made extra and let it go completely cold in a covered pot on the counter. Not for drinking. She had other plans for it. Black tea, strong, fully brewed black tea, contains tannic acid and theobromine. Both of these cool inflamed skin and help the outer skin barrier begin to repair itself. The tannins constrict the surface capillaries slightly when applied, which reduces redness and draws out trapped heat. The coolness of the tea itself pulls additional heat from the skin. The method: brew 4 or 5 tea bags in 2 cups of water and let them steep for 10 full minutes. The tea should be very dark, much stronger than you would drink. Let it cool completely. Soak clean cloths in it and lay them over the burned areas for 15 to 20 minutes. If the burn is bad, repeat it once more. For sunburned faces, she would soak small cotton rounds and lay them gently across the cheeks, the nose, the forehead. A sunburn across the nose and under the eyes is always the most swollen and the most tender. The tannins in the tea calmed that swelling down better than anything else she tried. This is gentle enough for children. There are no chemicals to worry about and nothing that will sting on already damaged skin. A box of black tea bags costs $2 and makes enough treatment to last an entire summer. My rule has always been this: the pot of tea does more than one job. It always did. Number 6, tobacco poultice for wasp and hornet stings. This one surprises people every time I mention it, but it was as common as anything in our house and in every house I knew on our road. My father smoked a pipe. He grew his own tobacco in a small patch near the back fence. And in summer, when one of us got into a hornet's nest or caught a wasp on the hand, he was the one who handled it. He would take a small pinch of loose pipe tobacco, wet it slightly with water, and press it firmly onto the sting. He held it there with a strip of cloth tied loosely around the spot and left it for 20 minutes. The swelling went down. The pain decreased every single time. The active compound is nicotine, which has mild anesthetic and anti-inflammatory properties. It numbs the surface slightly and reduces the body's inflammatory response at the sting site. Before antihistamines existed, before over-the-counter sting treatments were on any shelf, tobacco was what people used, not because anyone told them to, because they had tried it and it worked. If you do not have pipe tobacco, a cigarette works the same way. Wet it, break it open, use the tobacco inside, press it onto the sting, hold it there. I am not telling you to smoke. I am telling you that tobacco has properties that most people never think about because they only think about one use for it. My rule has always been this: do not dismiss something just because it is old. Old things worked long enough to become traditions for a reason. Number 7, lard and beeswax balm for skin protection. People are surprised to hear this one every time I mention it, but it is one of the oldest methods in the world, and it works as well today as it did 100 years ago, before commercial sunscreen existed, and it did not become available to ordinary families like ours until well into the 1940s and later. People still worked in the sun all day long. They were not foolish. They protected themselves. They just used what they had. My mother made a skin balm she put on our faces and arms before long days in the field. 2 ingredients: rendered lard and beeswax. That is it. She melted a small piece of beeswax, roughly 1 tablespoon, in a tin cup set in a pot of hot water. When it was fully liquid, she stirred in 4 tablespoons of lard. She mixed them together until smooth, poured the mixture into a small tin, and let it cool. It set into a firm, smooth balm with a slight waxy feel. Applied to the skin before sun exposure, it forms a physical barrier. It does not absorb UV the way modern chemical sunscreens do. Those formulations did not exist, but it does reduce direct penetration to the skin, and more importantly, it locks moisture into the skin and prevents the drying and cracking that turns a moderate sunburn into a serious blistering one. Skin that stays moisturized simply fares better in the heat. She added dried lavender to some batches, about a teaspoon of crushed dried lavender stirred in while the mixture was still warm. Lavender has mild antiseptic properties, and the scent keeps insects at a slight distance as well. 2 jobs at once. A small tin of commercial sunscreen balm today costs $5 or $6. A batch of this balm costs almost nothing and makes enough to last a family through the summer. My rule has always been this: protect the skin before the sun gets to it. It is always easier to prevent a burn than to treat one. 7 remedies: plantain leaf for stings and bites, apple cider vinegar for sunburn, fresh mint to repel bugs, baking soda paste for bee stings, cold black tea for sunburn relief, tobacco poultice for wasp and hornet stings, and lard and beeswax balm for protection before you go outside. None of these cost more than a few dollars. Most of them cost nothing at all, and every single one worked well enough that my mother trusted it on 8 children, summer after summer, without a pharmacist anywhere nearby. I am not telling you to throw away your first aid kit. If something is serious, a severe allergic reaction, a lot of swelling that keeps spreading, trouble breathing after a sting, you go get help immediately. That is common sense. What I am talking about is the ordinary business of summer that most of us have been paying $10 and $15 a bottle to handle at the drugstore when we never had to. If this video was useful to you, share it with somebody. A neighbor who is always getting bitten up. A family member who spent $40 at the pharmacy last weekend. It costs you nothing to share it, and it might save them something. Subscribe if you have not already. I put out one new video every week, and every single one is worth your time. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and remember, your grandmother knew more than you think.